Hello, thank you all for joining us. Good afternoon. My name is Linda Bolivar, and I'm a Special Programs Coordinator here in the Illinois State University Office of International Engagement. On behalf of our office, I would like to formally welcome you to the Spring 2022 International Seminar Series titled ISU International Engagement. This series is one of many programs developed by our office to assist in comprehensive campus internationalization and highlight the benefits of social, cultural, and linguistic knowledge beyond what is represented in our home countries. This semester, the series focus is on the wide variety of internationalization efforts taking place on the Illinois State University campus. This semester, all events are available as Zoom webinars, and as an attendee, you can submit questions through the webinar Q&A function, which we will relay to the presenter and panelists at the end of the presentation. It is now my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Wouter Van Alebeek, Interim Director of Academic Programs at ISU. In this role, he leads a wonderful team of academic professionals providing academic services for international students in academic English and pathways programs here at Illinois State University. Before his role as interim director, he served as the Assistant Director of Student Experience at ISU and as a program director for an intensive English program at Western Kentucky University. Dr. Van Alebeek earned his EDD in Educational Leadership and a Master's of Art in Organizational Leadership from Western Kentucky University. He has taught leadership and English as a second language courses at both the undergraduate and graduate level. Dr. Van Alebeek was born and raised in the Netherlands and spent 3 years as an international student in the United States. All right, thank you, and I will hand it over to you.
Thank you, Linda, for the kind introduction. So today we're going to discuss the international student experience here at ISU. I will start by briefly introducing some of the support services that we provide here at ISU, followed by exploring kind of what happens to a student if they experience a crisis at ISU. And then lastly, what's some of the challenges we have seen with engaging international students over the last few years. After that, I will moderate a short panel discussion with 4 of our current international students about their experience here at ISU. So, being a successful in college takes more than academic persistence, and as most of you know, students move often to an on-campus environment away from their support systems, and especially for international students, obviously that move is further away and often further away from their support system. So during their college career, things can happen. And at that point, a lot of the non-academic support becomes extremely important. So some of the services we provide here at ISU, I wanted to start with International House. So International House is the living and learning community located in the UWIT Manchester Resident Hall. But over the years, International House has grown out to more than just a living and learning community. Matt Schwab leads that team, and it's a team of student support professionals that offer student programming, but they also provide care and conduct services, and they've really become kind of the central resource for international students if they have any issues that are maybe not necessarily directly academic or immigration related, but that are still part of living in a college environment. Part of what International House does is also student programs. They have several trips every semester. They do events, they do cultural adjustment programs, and much more. So they are a really great resource for international students. Obviously, International students, just like any other student, has access to the registered student organizations. It's a great way to get involved with the campus community, finding clubs that students are interested in, that other connecting in a way that is not just about academics, but also about sort of what they like to do. International House also provides international student orientation, much like Preview for domestic students. This is where upon entry into the United States or right before, in the last couple of online semesters, the students kind of get a basic rundown of the things that they need to know in order to navigate and be successful at ISU. The Mentor Adjustment Program is a program that the Office of International Engagement runs, in which students can sign up to receive a mentor, which is often another international student that has been here for a longer period of time, or perhaps a domestic student that can help a new student navigate this institution. On the other flip side of that, international students can sign up as a mentor once they have been here for a little bit of time. We have an International Student Ambassador Program. Students can sign up to be ambassadors for their country, at which point faculty members, or really anybody that's having an event that want a specific culture as an example or being represented, these ambassadors can be invited into class, so other international students are not necessarily picked out every time something comes up, or being the example of, oh, this is how it is outside of the United States. The International Student Advisory Board is a board that gives advice to the Office of International Engagement. So if a student wants to get more involved in the kind of the shared governance piece, this is another great opportunity for students to be the voice for other international students or for their area towards the Office of International Engagement. We also provide some financial resources. There are partial tuition waivers. IHOuse has so International House has a merit awards. There's the Hickrowd Awards, Betty Plummer Outstanding Senior Scholarship, the Marilyn Boyd Memorial Scholarship, and these are some extra financial resources and scholarship opportunities that international students have, or that are specifically built for international students. The Office of International Student and Scholar Services is a very important office for international students. So that's abbreviated ISSS. This is the office that does the immigration advising and makes sure that international students are aware what they have to do in order to be in the United States legally, in order to work legally. So they are kind of the resource if students have questions about their legal status in more than one way. And then lastly, I wanted to mention the tutoring support, or the resource learning centers. While this is an academic services in the first place, obviously, we see that a lot of tutors are the first point of contact that can also be a resource if a student might have a non-academic related challenge that is influencing their academic performance. So they can reach out, and we did see that even these tutors are often a great resource for international students when they want to just connect with somebody and voice their challenges. So, sorry, I scrolled. So a student in crisis, according to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, about 73% of all college students experience some sort of mental health crisis during their college career. I have no doubt that for international students who are further away from their support family and who are in a completely different culture, this percentage can only be higher, even though we don't have data on it. So college students outside of mental health also go through a ton of things during their college careers. So If they do experience a crisis, mental health or otherwise, ISU has some excellent offices that are there as resources. So first, the Office of International Engagement, that kind of related to the previous slides. There's a lot of resources that are provided out of this office, and they will also often be the first ones to hear about students that are going through a potential crisis. ISU has an excellent student health services office, which is a healthcare facility that can provide pretty much any basic healthcare need for students. The ISU student counseling services are fully equipped to also deal with some of the challenges that international students face, including the mental health ones. Student access and accommodation services. If a student is experiencing challenges that might be outside of their control, that could be a learning disability, but it could also be that they are going through some mental health issues that they need accommodations for. This is an excellent office that, again, is fully equipped to deal with some of those challenges. And then obviously the ISU PD, Dean of Students Office, the Redbird Care Team, ISU Emergency Management, all work independently, but also collaboratively to serve all ISU students, and who can handle a wide variety of crisis types. So some of the engagement challenges we have seen over, especially the last couple of years, email communication is a tough one. Engaging college students it comes with challenges. We've been moving online during the pandemic. We have moved off online, but generally all ISU offices use email to communicate with students. That is the preferred method. That's the official method of communication. That will also, for many students, be the official communication that they receive from a future employer. However, this is often not where students are. This is not necessarily the preferred communication methods for students. So I often hear we should meet students where they are. And while that is a great theory and a great idea, it is often also unrealistic. International students are spread out over a wide variety of media platforms. There are social media platforms from all regions of the world. There's a lot of these social media, any media platform and any form of communication rapidly changes from one preferred method to the other. So for a university to keep up with these methods and trying to engage students through these methods, that is a definite challenge. On the flip side of that, a lot of email communication is also used for marketing and for that type of communication, which means that on the student side, a lot of their inboxes might look very overwhelming, and they might receive a lot of emails that they don't have to read, which comes with, or which adds to the challenge of, if we want to engage students over email, it's tough. So then a third factor of that is that the rapid changes in procedures over the last year, from pivoting online to back in person, to shortly online to back in person. All of these changes are being communicated over email. All of these changes are important. It is also a very overwhelming overload of information. So these are definitely challenges that we have come up with that I don't necessarily have an answer to. As far as I can see, for the foreseeable future, email communication will be the official ISU form of communication. And I hope that this will not be a barrier for students to be engaged and to feel engaged with the ISU community. So with that, we are going through the short panel discussion. I am going to let our panelists introduce themselves, where they're from, and what they're studying here at ISU, and then I will ask them some questions.
Hi everyone. My name is Benita Mukuna. Please refer to me as Benita. I am from sunny Cape Town, South Africa, and the DRC. So I represent both Central and Southern Africa. I am currently a junior here at ISU, majoring in political communications, minoring in political science and French, and I'm really excited to be on this panel.
Hello, my name is Digpal Jagani, and I am a senior in business marketing, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eduard Winner. I'm an international student athlete from Israel. I'm studying political science and peace and conflict resolution with concentrations on law and international relations. Thank you for inviting me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jackson Omushien. I'm a graduate student from Kenya. I'm studying Masters in Applied Economics with a concentration in natural gas, electricity sequence, and telecommunications. Thank you.
So thank you, guys. This will be my first panel that I lead over Zoom, so we'll see how much of a challenge this is. But Eddie graciously agreed to take the first question. So Eddie, would you mind telling us a little bit about what brought you to ISU?
Absolutely. So before I came to ISU, I was a high-performing pole vaulter already. I represented Israel, the Israeli national team, in many meets, including the World Youth Championships, 2 European Championships. I am the Israeli national champion. And when the age approached and I wanted to study in the university, I wanted to find a place that I can combine school and track and field. However, in Israel, it wasn't as easy to find such a place since we don't have a track program that is combined with school. So you have university and you have track. So if you have an exam and a meet on the same day, you have to choose. So one day, my friend visited the University of Michigan, and he came back, and I saw him in practice, and he told me about the US. And he said that it's going to be perfect for me since it's a perfect combination. So I decided to take on this chance and go overseas, and it wasn't without some difficulties, such as studying for the SAT, improving my English, improving my math, and so on. And I started my freshman year in Manhattan College in New York City. It was an amazing experience. I won the indoor conference championship and also the outdoor conference championship. And I won the Best Freshman's Award on both occasions. And then I decided that I would like to take it a step forward and look for a bigger school, a state school with a better pole vault program, because New York is mostly concentrating on arts and dance and not sports as much. They don't have a lot of space. So I visited few schools and I liked ISU the most. And now I'm here and also won the conference championship for ISU as well.
That's a great story. Thank you. Thank you, Eddie. Any of the others would like to answer what brought you to ISU?
I would like to say I chose ISU because it was the business best program, it's well ranked. Also, ISU is enhancing diversity and inclusion, and it's a very good place for international students like myself. And I was very confident, talking to Americans. And the campus is very welcoming and diversified. And I have also heard about very good feedback from some of my friends who are ISU alumnus.
Well, I will say that what brought me to ISU was how when you look at the business side, they're good. And studying economics, I kind of did a little bit of research on it, and a few of my friends told me, like, yeah, you can be able to progress your career. And after being out, I graduated my undergrad in 2015, and so it took about six years to begin my graduate program. And so I wanted that next step and looking at the ISU program and having a good advices. And I talked to like likes of Professor Demetrius, and he was able to kind of like, we had a back and forth conversation. And even when I came here, he has been so helpful. So those are the few things that you cannot get everywhere else where you apply to. And so that's among the main things that brought me to ISU. Yep.
Excellent.
I guess my story of how I came to ISU is not as interesting as Eddie. I would consider it a story of fate. So I graduated from high school in 2017. I was on the track to study medicine in South Africa, but my parents felt like it would be better for me to study internationally. They told me to pick a country, and my first choice was Canada. Unfortunately, my good friend Trudeau did not give me a visa, so I had to hop on to the next plan, and the US was next. Um, I had family in Illinois, and it's always important if you're going to study internationally to have a community. So that's why I was so drawn to Illinois. Like most Generation Z kids, I Googled universities in Illinois, and behold, ISU was the first one to pop up. It was the only university I applied to, which is not great. But they graciously accepted me, and I was glad to join the communications program because I found out that ISU has one of the US best communication programs. We have one of the few intercultural communication professors you will find not only in the US but within North America. So yeah, it was fate drew me to ISU, I guess.
It's a great story, and we are happy to have you, Benito. Would you mind taking question 2 and tell us what you like about ISU now that fate has brought you here?
I mean, there are so many things. I honestly, I always thought people corny when they say this about their schools that like, oh, there's so much to love about it. But honestly, what is there not to love? Firstly, ISU has a small enough community that you feel like you can get to know everyone, but it's not big enough that you're drowning. Also, not too small that you feel like it's too compact. Um, so I love the fact the number of students we have is just like perfect for me. Also, I love the fact that ISU drives to be inclusive. I am on the exec board of a RSO on campus, ASA, African Student Association. You should come. But I have noticed how ICU is always aiding us to make sure that our organization stays afloat and stays alive so that we can support fellow African students. So I love the community, I guess, here at ICU.
Yeah, great. Digpal, you kind of mentioned diversity too, but can you tell us a little bit about what else you like about ISU?
Yeah. So one of the thing I really like about ISU is like resource available for international students, and you can join any fraternity clubs, events at any time. And the financial help and the scholarship dedicated to international students, it's very helpful and it's all time available. Also, because ISU campus is diverse and I get to meet many students from different parts of the world. So just going by to classes or going to campus events, I can just meet any of them. And it's a very good campus and I love it.
Jackson or Addy, tell us what you like.
I mean, I will say, apart from the college community being so a little bit where you can be able to fit in, also the location of ISU is the best. Like you can be able to go to Chicago if you want to within a few hours. You can take the train or the bus, and there's plenty of resources too, as Digpal has said, and the faculty is always ready to help. All the people you interact with, whether in your department or different departments, I've been able to interact with a few people. I mean, also interacting with a lot of people in the Office of International Engagement, such as Matt Schwab and Linda Bolivar, and all these resources you cannot, it's not usual you can be able to go to a school and you meet them, and get them. So all these things, they boil down to what I kind of like about ISU.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
And what about you?
Well, as a track athlete in Manhattan and here, I traveled quite a lot, and I visited many campuses, but no other campus, and I'm not exaggerating, and I'm not saying it because I study here. I love our quad the best. I love our quad. I think we have many types of trees. Did you know that on the quad, like every tree is distinct? Do you know that? That's fascinating. And I love walking there and seeing students hanging out, sitting on the grass, walking, doing their thing. I run a lot into professors and friends that I see. I think it's small, and I like it. I don't need to have a car. I live right off campus. I can walk literally 5 minutes away from the library, and super convenient, beautiful place, beautiful buildings. For me, that's something that I always like. I'm a senior right now, yet I'm going to class every day, and I'm still like, this campus is so pretty. Like, I can't get over it. I just can't. I'm not getting used to that. As Jackson said as well, Chicago is pretty close, 2.5 hours by train. And I also like the resources that international students have. I think that ISU is very generous with us. And I think that they're very patient with us. And I think also that the faculty and the departments and the professors all very attentive, not only to international, but generally speaking. And I can say I feel at home here, definitely.
Okay, that's great to hear. I'm a little bit disappointed nobody mentioned the weather, but that might bring us to the next question: what you do not like as much about being here at ISU. Whoever would like to go first?
Well, I can say in terms of the weather, you mentioned it, but I come from the tropics where it's a little bit, hot. So that was a big shift for me. I came in fall, and by 3 months, I was trying to adjust, and then December came. It's all snowy and all, but I kind of had that idea, and so I had to adapt to it in my mind slowly. And so I will say it will be rough for somebody who's just coming in fall and they're coming from the tropics maybe. But I had a few moments, and I had a few friends who kind of like, okay, you need to buy boots, you need to buy clothing, such and such, and it was helpful. Maybe I can say a few things, or one more thing maybe that I can say towards, as a graduate student, you want to do more of a little bit of research, and I can say this is limited to resources, but I think more is being done to it. If you go like to the library sections, there's usually an advisor ready to help you. But if we can have like a little bit of a section whereby it can be accessible only to graduate students, and maybe there is, and I haven't seen, but I think if that can be done, and then when you want to do your research or you want to do your discussions, because they're a little bit different from other, undergrads, it will be good. But generally speaking, it's hard to find specifically something that you can point and say, oh, I do not like this about ISU, because it's a very nice place. Yeah.
Okay. Good feedback.
Yeah.
Who would like to go next?
I can go next, or no, you can.
No.
You go. That's why I prefer that you'll say our names, because then.
All right, I will give you a turn. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eddie. While you're talking, yeah.
Well, the thing, I think it wasn't related to me directly, but I had a lot of friends that kind of suffered from it. I don't like the policy of ISU to require freshmen and sophomores to live on campus. I think that this is wrong. I have friends that, I have now actually one friend, she's transferring from a community college, and she signed her lease with an external company, and then she came to find out that ISU contacted her and said, hey, you have to sign a lease with us. And she said, well, I was not aware of that. I'm a transfer. And now she goes through appeals, and she brought doctor's notes, which in my opinion, like, no, she doesn't supposed to do that. She can just live in an apartment. And then I said, well, okay, don't live at the dorms, live at Cardinal Courts. It's apartment style. No, let students decide where they want to live. I think that's the best if we just let that part go. I understand the financial side of ISU, but I don't think that the dorms are for everybody. I worked there for 2.5 years. Personally, I like the dorms, and I enjoyed the dorms when I've been there, but it's not for everybody. And I think the students have to decide for themselves.
No, that's a good comment.
Yeah, I can definitely understand where Eddie's coming from. I think it's only required for 1 year of living in the dorms for international students. I mainly agree with you because I feel like the best way to learn about a culture is to immerse yourself within it and to not shelter yourself. So I can understand how ISU would want to ease the transition into college life for younger people. But I can also understand the desire to immerse yourself fully within a culture and grow on your own. I guess something I don't like is not necessarily about ISU, but rather about Bloomington Normal. I wish there were more options for like international students on where to go shopping for groceries. I am from Africa. I cannot survive without my fufu and all the African meals. And unfortunately, most Africans have to go to the tiny African store that I only learned about this year. So I wish we had more options beyond just going to Chicago. And I wish we were told about these options day one. I wish there was kind of just like a starter pack on, hey, if you want to cook like ethnic meals, here's some grocery shops that you can stop by. So yeah, that's something I do not necessarily like about being in Bloomington Normal.
Got it. Digpal?
Yeah, so honestly speaking, as an international student, there should be like on campus, there should be like more food option because I'm a vegetarian and I'm come from India, so I don't eat any non-veg. So like as an international student, there should be like on campus, like more food options, like in Watterson dining, something like that. And rest, yeah, everything is perfect, right?
I mean, I'll take it if it's perfect. To briefly touch on the housing, it's up until 2 years after high school graduation, students are required to live on campus. I think the reasoning behind it is to be able to provide that kind of support right after high school for students that haven't been in that situation before. We can have a long debate on if it's a good idea or not. Digpal, I also, and I think you know this, but work with the dietitian at the dining center, and that just for you personally, that might be helpful. But no, those are all really good. It also kind of touches on our what can be improved question. The weather, I cannot do much about. It's a common complaint for international students that are used to a different climate. Completely understandable. But it's hard to do anything about it. The policies about housing, about dining, I think there's stuff to do there. Benita, I would recommend start a grocery store. That sounds like a great idea. I would love international grocery stores. So that seems like a business idea to me. But what else? What else can we improve? And well, I'm singling Benita out. If you want to let us know what else do you think can be improved at ISU? Maybe it's something that you like, but it could just be more of it.
Okay, this is something I'm very passionate about. It's funny that everyone's been talking about resources and support that's provided, but I personally believe that the resources in place here at ISU that are meant to be supporting students can sometimes leave international or non-English, well, those that do not speak English as a first language at a disadvantage. And by that, I would give tutoring service as an example. I wish that you could get maths tutoring in one of the major languages, which is like French or Spanish. Unfortunately, those who are already at a disadvantage come to ISU not speaking English as their primary language. You're struggling with maths. Now you have to listen to this English tutor try and explain the Pythagorean theorem. So I just wish there were more options. And I understand that this is not necessarily something that the university can deal with alone because it deals with funding. Maybe this is something that needs to be dealt with on a state level. Who knows? But this is something I wish there was a change.
Yeah, good. That's a good suggestion. Jackson, what do you think? What can we do? What can we improve?
From a graduate perspective, I will say that a little bit more of integration between bookwork and outside, labor market, like try to integrate. I know there's several resources in terms of internships and everything, but if we can have more of those, like have graduate student take up a course, even one as an internship and as a requirement to get a few extra credit and be able to kind of immerse yourself into that job market. And also, I think that we've been doing a good job so far, and I can personally attest to the fact that I'm going for an internship and say that's a great idea. But also, I think if it can be accessible to a few more people and a few more resources like that, it will be more helpful. Yep.
Yeah, good suggestion. Digpal, what about you?
I think there's nothing that I would like to suggest to improve because I experienced like this 3 years. It was my best experience in ISU.
Well, that's really good to hear. And obviously, we kind of talked about the dining. I think there can always be more food. I love that idea, but
yeah, and I think there is always pros and cons, so you can't talk about everything,
Right. Eddie, anything to contribute outside of the housing issue?
The housing, no, I have something else that I think is more feasible. So lately, there are a lot of emergency alerts. There is things going on, and I understand. But the issue that I'm having with the emergency alert is that it's alerts us when there's something going on, and the last message that we get is like the police is in pursuit of the suspect or something like that, and we never get a message once it's resolved or once they caught the suspect. And I'm sure that. So I'm interning at the state's attorney's office, and I'm also working with a lot of police officers, and I have a lot of friends from the ISU PD, and I talk to them a lot because they come to the dorms. They have rounds there, and they talk to me a lot. And I know that they're doing a great job, but the alert, it's through ISU, and I would suggest that the alerts, they have to include and update the suspect was, we caught the suspect because we don't know, and we're anxious, and we think, oh, they don't do anything, and that makes a bad name for the police, which they're doing a great job. So that's something that I would suggest. And actually, I'm going to speak about it tonight. I'm part of the judicial committee through the government association, student government association, and I'm actually going to speak about it tonight in a meeting. So.
Yeah, that excellent suggestion, Eddie. And I actually never thought about it. Yeah, we do not get alerts when a case is resolved or where it is standing. Yeah, you should bring that up because I'm pretty sure that they could.
Yeah.
Okay, that gives us a few more minutes to kind of talk about the last one. Any new services or features that you would recommend? It's very closely related to what we can improve. Grocery stores can be one of them. Are there any other and Benita, I'll tell you that we are working on providing tutoring services, maybe not in different languages, but definitely the content part of coursework and that vocabulary for even for any second language speaker, if they can meet the language requirements, that will continue to be a challenge. We are trying to expand the tutoring services that we provide for example, the academic English learning or the academic English students to a broader audience. So working on it, but it's an excellent suggestion. It is an aspect that a lot of our international students struggle with, because the terminology is different, and that is very hard for every major to address those specific issues. But what other features would you like to see here at IR2, or any new services? Yeah, Eddie, go ahead.
So again, because I'm part of the judicial committee, so I'm working on a lot of things like that. And another thing that I think is feasible, and it's not hard to implement, it's to add a syllabus, the most current syllabus, to the class description online. And why do I say that? I say that because when we students want to register for a new class for next semester, next year, or we want to look up information about future classes, we only get a summary of like a sentence of two, a generic summary. And I personally had two experiences that I registered for a class, and I came to class, and it wasn't at all what I expected. The name didn't suggest it. The description didn't suggest it. So I waited a few weeks. I thought maybe we'll get to something that I expected. No, we didn't get to it. A lot of students experience that, because I speak with a lot of students, and some of them say, well, yeah, I registered for this class, and this class had to get an A is 93 to 100. So not 90 to 100. And I got a B, and it's lowered my GPA. And if I knew that, I would have registered for the parallel class. And I'm like, well, you should know that. We should know that. I mean, we're students. We deserve to know what the class is going to be about. And I would say that a professor that taught a certain class before simply need to attach the most current syllabus. It doesn't have to be the exact syllabus that we're going to learn next year, but the most current one. So we'll have, some perspective. And I know that other universities do that. So it's something that I also will talk about tonight. And yeah, I'm just trying to implement little feasible things into the system, little improvements.
Yeah, that's actually really insightful. I didn't go to I wasn't a student at ISU, so I wasn't even aware that was an issue that students dealt with. Thank you. Digpal, what about you? Oh, Jackson, sorry. Go ahead.
I would say that something new I would recommend to ISU is like, you can decide to do a program and you find that 90% of the courses you want are here, but then there's the 10% that's somewhere else. If maybe ISU can integrate itself with other colleges and agree to kind of like a joint, you can be able to do those courses, and you can transfer those credits to your course, because you might require those, and for you to kind of like get a complete overview of what you want. So if that can be implemented, it will be an additional feature which can be so helpful for somebody's career. Yep.
Yeah, good suggestion. Plus, I think it's important for especially students that might not have the same mobility. International students might not have a car and they have to go to a different location. It's a good thing to know.
Yep.
Good suggestion.
Yeah.
I think I totally agree with Edward, because as an undergrad student, you should know like what you're studying beforehand. If they posted the syllabus beforehand, so you just get an idea like what you're gonna study, and if you want to drop it, so you can just drop it and swap the class easily beforehand. So you don't have to register for the class like sooner.
Good. Benita, anything else you would like to suggest?
I don't think I have anything. I feel like if I'm provided great suggestions, I've got nothing to add, unfortunately.
Okay, awesome. then I think I'm going to hand it back to Linda to kind of lead a Q&A here with the audience.
All right, and just a reminder, first of all, thank you all for those great insights. Oh, and I just saw a new question came in. All right, this question is, how would you suggest balancing the support and immersion aspects for international students? It was presented as a dichotomy, so either support or immersion, but how to have international students as part of the campus culture, which is good for both domestic and international students, and still allow those feelings of support or comforts of home and being surrounded by familiarity, etc. So do any of you want to address that, kind of the balance between being immersed in the regular student policy or population versus having specific supports as an international student? And feel free to just jump in.
I will.
Please go ahead. No.
Okay, I will say that I know sometimes we kind of require, I mean, we always require support. So before you come to ISU, I will suggest like doing research and kind of like trying to contact some of your friends who have been here or before, or maybe the same communities that are here. That can be able, that can be helpful to help for you to kind of like immerse yourself. Like if you have a community, I have a community of people from the East African side, and we help each other when you need something. When you just settle in, we kind of help you integrate and, you know, just try help you settle down. So that would be a great way, one of the ways to kind of help you immerse yourself into a different place.
Yeah, to add to that, I would say join an RSO. Really join an RSO that you're passionate about, because that is killing two birds with one stone. One, you find yourself a community, and within that community, there are locals. So you're getting that immersive experience. So you're immersing yourself in the into the culture, but you also have that support. Also, it's okay to have support. You do not have to go into a new country and think, man, I just need to dive in and do this by myself to figure it out. It's okay to have other people who know a little bit more than you. So I would definitely say, yeah, you've got to find that good balance. And the best way for me has been joining RSOs that I'm passionate about.
Yeah, so I'll chime in for a second. I think it depends what your goal is. So do you want to stay in the US long term? Or are you going back to your country after 2 years if you're a grad student, or 4 years if you're undergrad like me? What's your long-term goal? If your long-term goal is to stay here, immerse yourself as much as you can. Improve your English, try to make American friends, join RSO, join clubs, don't be shy, work on your English, be active, ask people. If you say this correctly, if you don't know, that's fine. Ask people to correct you if you're speaking grammatically incorrect. That's fine. I did that. I still do that. I don't think it's embarrassing. If you want to stay here, you have to immerse yourself in the culture. Try to watch football. Try to understand their culture. I don't know. Try to watch what they watch. Try to ask them why they believe in what they believe. It doesn't mean that you have to be fake and change yourself, but it's very good to come to a country and you know, accept this culture, and now you have another culture. You have your culture and you have an American culture that, you know. However, if you're here for the short term and you came to do your master's maybe, or PhD or undergrad, and you're going back to your country, I would still suggest as part of your adventurous life to immerse yourself. But we have tons of resources and a lot of international students that will gladly talk to you. And every Friday, I think we have a meal, right? Is that correct? Every Friday almost, we have a meal with international students. And we have a lot of trips to Chicago, St. Louis. Really, Matchwab does an amazing job, Linda as well. Everybody's doing an amazing job. So if you're here for a short term, maybe you want to kind of do them both, or even just side on the international side and just grab your master's and go back. But my personal advice, immerse yourself as much as you can. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Thank you.
From the perspective of an international education professional, I don't think it has to be the economy. It's it's both, right? I mean, international students enter campus with their unique, yes, they have a unique need for support, but they also bring a lot of unique things to the campus. I think we can have both. We can integrate students into campus. I think they can be part of the regular what domestic students experience as the college experience, while at the same time we can have aspects available to make students more comfortable. It can be additional supports. It can be a grocery store in a community. We have a diverse enough community that you will find. I mean, they might be small, but you will find these grocery stores. But if we want to bring additional foods to a residence hall, because the population is changing and becoming more diverse, and therefore we need to rotate more diverse food aspects. I think the one doesn't necessarily exclude the other. International students will never be able to completely surround themselves with everything that they know from home, but it can be a little bit, which will also be a great aspect for domestic students to experience some of the cultures that are outside of the United States, because the international students are joining their classes and joining their campus living community.
All right, I have another question, and we have about 4 minutes left. What surprised you about the US or about ISU? And anybody who wants to can jump in.
Okay, so I've got two. These are my favorite. So the first thing that surprised me, of course, was the food portions. Back home in South Africa, we get warnings. You go to I arrived, I went to a local Mexican restaurant with my parents, and we ordered like finish it. Definitely food portions. It was how trusting people are here at ISU, especially my professors. And I mean, this is both good and bad. I mean, I pride myself in being a representation of Central and Southern Africa. I happen to be well in things that we deal with within those two regions in Africa. I have to say, which is great because, I do my research, but in other times, you can't just trust international students to know
Benita,
everything about their country. So that's those countries.
And I'm sorry, Benita, your internet is cutting out a little bit. So we lost part of that. Sorry about that. Does anyone else want to share?
Well, I can
My surprise was how much many people love football. I've had to become a football fan by just staying here. I didn't know so much about football, but that love is too much, and people love their college football more than the national football, and also the same applies to basketball. And I like that. I like sports, so I've been able to interact. And I play rugby. I joined the RSO for rugby in the school, and I've been able to kind of like immerse myself like that. And I like that because openly, like, joining sports is a good thing, and I've been able to interact with that. Yep.
Yeah, I agree. The football culture is absolutely shocked me. I mean, I remember Manhattan College is a Catholic school, and I remember they moved the mass earlier in the day, so when it was the Super Bowl, so they'll have time to prepare for the Super Bowl. I'm like, so the church in college moved the mass so people can watch football. Like, that's significant. And I knew that the U.S. is a large country with a great sports culture, but I can't get used to that. I mean, I'm in awe every time that I see the US's high school facilities and college facilities and how seriously they take everything. And I remember I went to a football game of the high school, former high school of my girlfriend. And it's just a high school, right? Oh my God, like the marching band is there, probably like 40 people of the marching band and cheerleaders jumping, doing flips in the air, and the football, and it's everybody's there, like faculty, students, everybody's there, like hot dogs, music. I'm like, that's just high school. That's it's nothing like that in Israel, nothing like that. So I'm really glad that you have this sports culture. I think it's amazing.
When I first arrived to the United States, what's really threw me for a loop is the greeting, "Hey, how are you?" when people really don't care how you are doing. And I several times tried to answer that question by because oh, they know I'm new here. I'm trying to answer this question. And no, it was really just a greeting that definitely surprised me.
And the answer to what's up is what's up.
That's right.
I've been there.
All right, we are about out of time. Any last things that surprised someone they didn't get to share? Oh, Benita's back. Benita, anything that surprised you? Oh, actually, I think you started this one. Sorry. Anyone else, something that surprised them? No. All right, we'll go ahead and wrap up. If you have additional questions for our panelists, you can submit them. You can email internationalseminar@ilstu.edu. I have to say that our student panels are always one of our most popular seminars every semester. It's wonderful to get all the different perspectives from the students. And Dr. Van Alebeek, thank you for your overview of the services for students also. As a reminder, next week at the same time, we'll have another session in the International Seminar Series, and that will focus on the Fulbright program. If you have not yet registered, go to illinoisstate.edu/seminar series, and you can register. And also, register for the rest of the events in the semester. April 20th, which is the grand finale, will be presented live at the Bone Student Center featuring our provost. And that one you can either attend in person and have lunch, or you can attend remotely from the comfort of your own home. But just be sure and register early because there is limited seating for the in-person. So thank you again to everyone who attended and for all of you who participated in the panel. And that concludes our program for today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.